Hi boys and girls, your old pal Stevie Coyle here at Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette, California with the Friday Noontime webcast. So sorry I've been away for a couple of weeks, but I had pesky shoppers in the shop buying guitars and stuff. They get in the way of the Friday Noontime webcast TM. On today's menu is a MFG Sanden guitar. Oh, I'll show it to you first. It's beautiful. What a lovely thing. Just look. Alpine spruce top with lots of silking, they call it. Kind of these medullary sideways. The grain of the guitar goes this way, the rays go that way, and this one's got a few of those light little, in fact lots and lots of that silking that goes across the grain, which indicates, I'm told, though I don't know for sure, I'm told that that indicates a perfect, nearly perfectly quarter sawn top. I'll let you look that up. That's the topic for another day, another week. What a loud and sparky guitar. Oh, let me check and make sure things are happening here. You can tell I haven't done this in a couple of weeks. There we go. Looks like things are happening. Good, good, good. Come on in. Yep, looks like the guitar's in the picture. It's the main thing. It's the only thing. Good. Let me play it for you. It sounds great, and then I'll tell you all about it. I say it's really loud. So if you have a soft touch, consider this. And this is kind of that optimal size. The OM seems to fit a lot of people. A lot of us don't fit around our dreadnoughts and jumbos the way we used to. Wow, it's really loud. Next day, the cat came back, etc. It's a treat. What a treat to play. Fingerstylers will appreciate the fact that I'm quite sure, I'll look at the specs in a second, that this nut width is a little wider than standard. Just a little bit, and it's really comfy. It's not just the nut width that's of interest to a lot of people. A lot of people say, I need 1 11/16. I need dreadnought width. No, I need OM width, 1 3/4. This one I'm guessing is on the north side of 1 3/4. It's not just the width, though, that affects how your fingers land on the fingerboard. It's the profile of the neck, the shape of the neck and back here. Especially if you're a palm-in player like I am. I use my thumb across the top quite a lot. So I've got the guitar neck and my palm quite a lot, and that feel kind of counts. If you play properly, bendy fingers, with your thumb in back, perhaps of less concern. Although a really severely V-shaped neck will feel certainly different to you than other shaped necks. This one is kind of an open C, a slightly open C shape. Very comfy. Those of you that play fingerstyle, another song you can do using that Deep River Blues E shape. Pretty esoteric, pretty nerdy. Yes, the sign of the N. However you do it. Sanden, S-A-N-D-E-N, Michael Sanden. Let me tell you a bit about him to get you back to your lunch. Swedish builder Michael Sanden has been building guitars for over 40 years, and he's still as enthusiastic as ever. His main goal is to make the best custom guitar possible. He's worked with Bojo, Bolin, and Tanglewood guitars. How about that? Among others. Satin finish on both the Indian rosewood back and sides. Lovely. And on the Swiss Alpine spruce top. Mahogany neck, ebony fingerboard, ebony bridge, custom abalone butterfly fingerboard inlays and rosette. Check these out. Beautiful. Not necessary, but delightful anyway. Let's see. Original hard shell case, certificate of authenticity. Yes, yes, thank you, thank you. Body shape is kind of typical OM, kind of the Martin OM triple O, as many of you know. It used to be, nowadays there's lots of crossover, but it used to be the OM and the triple O Martin designations meant the same body size. The OM, though, typically would have long scale from nut to bridge saddle and a fairly wide fingerboard. So those dimensions were the big ones. The triple O, on the other hand, would have a shorter scale and a narrower fingerboard, the shorter dimensions. I don't know if there's a good mnemonic in there or not, but that's kind of what it is. Nowadays, like I said, there's lots and lots of crossover. I've had several OMs come in with narrow fingerboards. How about that? This one's nice and wide. In fact, I'm eager to get to the specs and see how wide that fingerboard is. Deathback has solid Indian rosewood top material, side on the side bracing, non-scalloped X bracing, body details, rosewood binding, multi-line purfling, which is really nice. This is just showing off, but it's so cool. Can you see it? These little light lines, the purfling here. That's just the luthier showing off, and it's totally cool. It's one of those things that when you get up close to you go, wow, how did they do that? But it doesn't shout at you across the room. This kind of speaks clearly to you across the room, the inlay on the fingerboard. But everything else, including the satin finish, is kind of muted, kind of reserved. The guitar itself is not reserved. It is loud. It is very forward. I'm just barely touching that. Strums nicely too. The saturation is good. I always look for saturation and articulation. Saturation for the strumming bits and articulation for the fingerstyle bits. Oh, let me see who's here. Hi there, anybody? Come on in. Looks gorgeous. You can hear what I want to grow up sooner is better. Very good. Slotted peg head. Yes, Mark. The slotted peg head is not just for looks. The slotted peg head makes this angle across the nut, and in this case, we'll get to the 0 fret, across the nut, steeper. It dives down at a more severe angle, which puts more up pressure on the top and activates the top a bit more than a paddle style, which is why classical guitars with nylon strings, light gauge, light tension strings, require that angle. It's kind of came from lutishness, you know, where you had a really severe angle. And some steel string guitars do that as well. The Klein guitars have a really severe neck angle or break angle across the nut, and the headstock kicks way back. In this case, it's just the slots that give you that kick, that angle that dives down into the headstock instead of sitting up on top of it. Oh yeah! I'm guessing you're hearing it okay. Do feel free to invite anybody that you think might be interested to head on over either now or later. I'm to be on here just a couple more minutes. I promise not to keep you after school. This is really fun to play because it's all right there. You can play back from where you normally play and still get lots of sound. like it. Michael Sanden. Oh, let me continue with the specs. Never did get on to page 2 where the goodies are. See about that nut width. We've got materials, still some more materials to go. Ebony fingerboard. Fingerboard radius, 16 inches. Neck details, abalone inlay, 0 fret. The 0 fret. That's this, kids. See this little fret lurking up here near the nut? The nut serves pretty much just as a string guide in this case, and the string breaks at the 0 fret, which I think is great. It used to be the sign of an inexpensive German guitar back in the 50s and 60s. They kind of did that. And it got a bad rep, but I like them a lot, especially if you do alternate tunings that involve the low string that has big fat windings on it that are sawing away at the nut every time you tune up and down, creak, 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 sawing away, and the point of departure, the point of the break point on the nut changes. So having a piece of metal be the terminus, Latin, Catholic, thank you, being the terminus of the string makes a lot of sense, because you're not going to wear that down nearly as fast as you'd wear down a nut or a tusk, a bone or a plastic or a tusk nut. What a sweetie. Wowee. Now, get to the goodies. 1.77. It's a little bit wider. Instead of 1.75, it's 1.77 inches across the nut up there. Knew it. Knew it. It's really strange how your hand, after a very short while actually, can really detect differences in neck width. People will play I have several Martins in here at the moment, and they'll play one D28 from the 60s and say, oh yeah, I like that. And they'll play another D28 from the 60s and say, this neck feels very different. Yeah, this was before CNC. The 60s is before there were CNC machines that would cut everything perfectly and Stepfordize your guitars in a sense. There were, Mike necks and Bill necks and Roger necks, and there were Monday necks and Wednesday necks and Friday necks as well. They were all done by hand. So they all feel a little bit different. Nowadays things are much more standardized for a lot of companies. But it's true that you can feel the differences amongst necks. I'm fortunate, I think, in that I don't require a particular neck size or style or shape or profile. A neck's a neck. It's the strings, which I find I'm no longer being heroic about. I'm not going for medium gauge strings as I used to have, and then I scaled back and thought, well, maybe I can go with that bluegrass set, with the medium bottoms and the light tops. Then I went to lights, and now I'm thinking, extra lights are feeling really good. And, after a while, when you kind of get the feel on your own guitar and play it at a ton, you can probably go with lighter gauge strings. I'm giving you permission, because I have been given permission by my hands to play more guitar if it's easier and more fun to play. So I've gone on my stage guitar, to extra light strings. Yes, I have. And if I need volume, I press down a pedal on the pedal board, or I turn up the knob on the amp. Don't need that volume unless you're playing bluegrass and you need to have yourself a banjo killer. I don't need one of those in most of the musical situations I find myself in. And the scale length, I'll be interested about that as well. Scale length is 25.2. So it's not quite the 25.4 that Martin standards are, even though it's ostensibly an OM guitar. That's a tribute name. That's a Martin designation. It's not gone to a Martin specs, which would be 25.4 long scale. And so this is a little different from that. And string spacing is 2.24. The bridge is ebony. Tuners are Shirtlers, open gears. It's in great shape. And it's for sale here at Mighty Fine Guitars. The asking price on this is $3,450. Worth every penny, says I. When these come in, I typically don't play them much right off the bat so that I can give you my first impressions of the guitar. It's just one guy's impressions after all, but it's one guy that's been around a lot of guitars. So this is my first impression is really loud, really forward, beautifully balanced, a lovely guitar, very comfortable for fingerstyle, where you need to be doing multiple things at the same time over here in this hand. And having a little extra width, a little extra real estate over there in the left hand is really welcome. It's beautiful. There's some bear claw in the alpine spruce as well, where it looks like it's been clawed. But there is lots of silking, which does usually indicate a beautifully quarter-sawn piece of spruce. Look it up. I'll have that for you next week. It's a lovely tune. You should hear it played well sometime. Rock and roller. And you know, while I'm playing there, you know, as you frequently do, you're looking down at your left hand, or you're looking down kind of in this, you know, to see what your hands are doing and make sure that they're on specs, within specs. And I'm looking at that little bit of purfling there, that little bit of light color in and amongst the dark colors, that little layer, and thinking, you clever lad, Michael Sanden, to put that there where the player can see it and enjoy it and just say, yeah, this guy was good. This is a really good builder. Sanden, S-A-N-D-E-N, look him up. Fella from Sweden. This is the first Sanden I've seen. I've played. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. It's available here at Mighty Fine Guitars. $3,450 is the tag price. Make me an offer. I can't refuse. And I'll talk to the owner of the guitar and take it from there. So if this was of interest to you, please feel free to share this. I'm going to post this to Instagram and to YouTube pronto. But do feel free to share this on Instagram, on Facebook, hitting that little share button and sending it out to somebody you think might be interested, or putting it on your own page. I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks very much. And we'll see what comes in. Oh, next week. I've already got lined up the guitar I want to show you next week. Not exactly sure what it is. It's a little old parlor guitar that has been expertly restored by Matt Kerslake in Petaluma, California. He's doing this thing that I think is going to catch on amongst luthiers. Repair people in particular, is taking old beat-up guitars and doing whatever it takes to bring them back to life. This is a little old parlor guitar, just a couple of big splits in the back, beautifully repaired, no problem there. Some of those Stradivarii that you hear about, they have very little of the original wood on there, and it's all cleated up and repaired every which way from Tuesday. He has done a fantastic job of retopping this guitar, rebracing it, repairing the splits, resetting the neck, and it's a lovely little parlor guitar that I'll show you next week. I got to find out what it is, though. If it's a Lion and Healy or a Washburn or a what. I don't know yet, but I'll find out and I'll let you know next week. So tune in. Great to see y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Down the road, your old pal Stevie Coyle here at Mighty Fine Guitars. Safe travels out there.